Most of us are taught to be loud, to be seen, to make our presence known. But what if the real power lies in the exact opposite? Today, we're going to explore a completely different way of operating, a quieter, more strategic path. We're diving deep into the mindset of a spy, learning how to think, observe, and move with a kind of silent precision that can change everything. And this right here is the absolute core of it all. On one side, you've got how most people operate, emotional, impulsive, just reacting to whatever happens. But on the other side, that's the spy's path. It's calm, it's deliberate, it's strategic. A spy knows that their greatest weapon isn't a gadget. It's the tiny bit of space between something happening and their action. It's all about shifting from just reacting on impulse to responding with real intelligence.
Okay, where do we even begin? Well, the very first rule in a spy's playbook is all about observation. It's about gathering intel. And this isn't about being sneaky, not really. It's about understanding a fundamental truth. Real power is built on what you notice long before you ever make a single move.
So let's really think about this for a second. Where does real, lasting power actually come from? I'll tell you what it's not. It's not the loudest person in the room. It's not the first person to speak. No, true power begins in the quiet. It starts with the totally underestimated act of just paying attention. We're so often taught that being silent is being passive, right? That it's a sign of weakness. Well, the spy mindset completely flips that idea on its head. This quote says it all. Strategic silence isn't empty. It's active. It's data collection. Every single moment you spend listening instead of talking, you're gathering priceless intelligence about the people, the power dynamics, and the environment around you. And here's what that intel process actually looks like. You start by just observing. Who really has influence here? Who seems a little insecure? Then you start listening deeply. And I don't just mean the words, I mean the tone, the body language, the things that tell you what's really being said. This is how you start to understand the unwritten rules of any situation. And that clarity, that's what gives you a massive advantage before you've even said a word.
But why all the silence? Think about it. The moment you announce your big plans, you invite everyone's opinions, their doubts, their competition. You invite interference. But working quietly, that protects your mission. It lets you build your strategy in a focused space, totally free from all that outside noise, so that when the time is right, you can act with absolute precision.
Okay, so you've gathered all this external intel. That's great, but it's pretty much useless if you can't control your own internal world. And that brings us to the second pillar. Mastering your emotions. You can think of this as your internal armor. It's your ultimate strategic defense. Just look at this comparison. A reaction is automatic. Someone pushes your buttons and you just jump. That's a vulnerability, plain and simple. But a response is a choice. It creates that little bit of space between the trigger and your action. And in that space, you can think, you can analyze, you can decide. That space is your strength. And listen, the stakes here are incredibly high. Losing your emotional control is basically like handing your opponent a detailed map of your own mind. They learn your triggers, they can manipulate your decisions, and your reputation, your credibility, it just evaporates. To put it simply, if someone else can control your emotions, they can control you. Now, to be super clear, emotional discipline is not about becoming a robot. It's not about suppressing your feelings at all. It's actually the opposite. It's about feeling an emotion, looking at it, acknowledging it, and then consciously choosing the most intelligent way forward instead of letting that emotion make the choice for you. At the end of the day, the biggest conflict you're ever going to face isn't with some competitor or rival. It's with your own impulses. It's right here, inside. And when you win that internal battle for control, you are basically prepared for any challenge the outside world could possibly throw at you. All right, we've covered observing the world and controlling our inner world, so now let's talk about how a spy actually operates out there. This is where all that silent preparation turns into effective, intelligent action.
A spy survives because they adapt. But this isn't about being fake, it's about being smart. Think about a rock versus water. A rock is rigid, it cracks under pressure. But water? Water adapts. It takes the shape of its container, it can flow anywhere. That's adaptation. It's about adjusting your methods to fit the situation without ever compromising who you are at your core. It's a sign of mastery, not weakness. And here we are again, back to this core theme. See, announcing your goals loudly gets you a lot of attention, sure, but it also makes you totally predictable.
But when you work on your skills in silence, when you grow without needing a round of applause, your results create this sudden impact that nobody saw coming. And that element of surprise, that is a ridiculously powerful advantage. Now, this idea of a cover identity gets misunderstood all the time. It is not about lying or being deceptive. It's about information security for your life. I mean, you wouldn't give everyone the keys to your house, right? So why would you give everyone access to your deepest plans, your weaknesses, your biggest ambitions? It's about being the strategic gatekeeper of your own story. This process completely reframes how you deal with failure. Most of us, we feel shame when we find a weakness. But a spy? A spy treats that weakness like valuable intel. So instead of thinking, oh, I'm such a failure, they think, okay, there's a flaw in my system. Where is it? By separating your performance from your identity, a weakness stops being some personal flaw and just becomes a strategic problem that you can solve. And finally, we get to maybe the most important part of the entire cycle. After every mission, whether it was a success or a failure, comes the debrief. This is how you guarantee that you never waste an experience. It's how every single action makes you smarter for the next one. This is really the essential question, isn't it? Just having an experience doesn't automatically make you wiser. I mean, we all know people who repeat the exact same mistakes for years. So how do you actually pull the lesson out of the experience? The answer is a structured, honest process of self-analysis. And here is that mindset shift in action. Regret is purely emotional. It attacks who you are. I am stupid. And it leads you absolutely nowhere. A review, on the other hand, is analytical. It focuses on the behavior. What pattern caused this? And it serves as a tool for growth. A spy detaches, studies their own actions almost like an outsider to find the pattern and upgrade their system for next time. And here's a really practical tool you can use for your own debriefs. After any big event, good or bad, run through this checklist. What was my actual goal? Did I prepare enough? And this one's crucial. Where did my own emotions get in the way of the mission? What skill do I need to work on? This isn't about blaming yourself. It's about objective analysis that gives you a clear path to get better. So if we're gonna sum all of this up, this entire framework is about making one fundamental shift. It's about going from being a passenger in your own life, just driven around by your impulses and whatever's happening around you, to becoming the pilot, navigating with purpose, with strategy, and with quiet control. Which really just leaves us with one final thought. In every single situation, your next move is coming, and you have a choice. You can react emotionally, getting moved around the board just like a pawn, or you can observe, control your inner world, and act with quiet strategy, and become the player who actually dictates how the game is played. The choice is always yours.